Welcome back. This is episode 4 of FandotDomdotcom, where fans are always on top. I have another special guest with me today. Special guest, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm special guest. My name's Moira Fuller, if you want my full name. I am friend of Brittany and friend of Olivia, and I am a senior at Texas State, and I play D&D, and I do other things. I'm part of a stream.
So what you're saying is you're a big
Stuff
nerd.
like that. I'm a big nerd, yeah, absolutely.
Nerd.
And
Welcome.
I have a bunch of fun little interests that I'm happy to talk about
Yes,
in more detail today.
We love that. We love having big nerds on the podcast.
You found one. You found the biggest.
I know Moira because, like Brittany an episode ago, we went to the same school district, but not the same school.
Mm-hmm.
And then, did we meet during Midsummer?
I'm sure we saw each other, around in general, but us fully, meeting each other and becoming friends was Midsummer.
Yeah, we did a performance, again with Brittany, Shakespeare in the Park, of a rendition of...
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Yeah.
Because, when I said Midsummer, the only thing I can think of was that new horror movie.
The Midsummer, yeah.
Yeah, the new movie that's out. So, you played one of the players, right?
Yes,
And
I was Robin Starveling, / Moon, and then I was also a fairy.
So, what are we talking about today?
It's a fandom, arguably, but
Okay.
it's more like a community, and it's more like a concept than an actual, this is a thing that people like, and it's ASMR. I don't know how how familiar you are with ASMR.
I know what ASMR is, I know about the tingles and the things. I'm not super into it, but I've seen people do it, the woman eating a pickle into a mic, and then the little girl who is like, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are some of the more meme ones, and that kind of shows people what ASMR is.
Yeah, and I listen to stuff that it isn't ASMR, but actually sometimes turns out to be.
Yeah,
I watch Binging with Babish sometimes, and for some reason I'll just fall straight a fuck to sleep. He'll
absolutely
in a good way, not his videos are boring and they'll put me to sleep, just because his voice is very soothing, and he talks about food. And then he has quiet music in the background. I'll be like, all right, sleepy time.
Yeah, and that's legitimately in a way that is ASMR. I mean, there's no true definition of what causes ASMR. So yeah, absolutely, that's totally valid that's an experience.
So we've been talking about ASMR. So what is it?
So the thing about ASMR is that people call it ASMR as a blanket I do ASMR, but ASMR is actually a medical term, autonomous sensory meridian response. That's what ASMR stands for, and that is just the term that's been given to the sensation of tingles. They can't see me doing air quotes, but that's okay.
The scientific term for tingles.
Yes. Basically, because different people experience it in different ways, but some people aren't even capable of experiencing it, in general. But most people have experienced it to at least some degree. It's basically that feeling of when you're at the doctor's office, or you're watching a show, or a lot of people experience it with music, especially a lot of people's first experience is music, or some kind of calming TV show or something like that. And it's basically, sometimes people feel it as it's a chill down their spine. There's different ways to say it. And people experience it in different ways. Sometimes it's just at the head, sometimes it's all body, sometimes it can be goosebumps. For different people, it manifests in different ways. But to break down, it's sensory input causes, based on because you have a meridian in your brain that causes a reaction in that portion of your brain that then causes sensory system to be this is a good thing and I'm happy. And I think that's the general breakdown of it. But of course that scientific phrase has now been kind of transposed to be well, this is ASMR is a thing that we do, because ASMR's always been around. As far as science goes, obviously it's not something that people have necessarily cared to research that much, because it's not it doesn't matter, in quotations, even though obviously now we can see that it has a lot of medical benefits for people who tap into it frequently.
Well, how?
What do you mean?
The medical benefits.
So with ASMR, like I said, I feel it's been around for a long time, but it only recently kind of became a thing. I say recently. I think it's been about 10 years since most what they call ASMR artists have evolved, because ASMR has mostly been explored on YouTube. That's its primary platform, and they call themselves ASMR artists, as like artists, but like ASMR, and they just make videos that are specifically trying to trigger ASMR with different triggers, is what they're called, triggers and tingles and stuff like that. And as far as like medical benefits, I've looked into it a little bit, but at least for me personally, I know like a lot of people use it as a sleep aid. Just because, for me, my personal experience, I have a very hard time sleeping by myself. I really prefer having at least another person in the room, if not, like, being with, like, a significant other or something. And so falling asleep on my own can be kind of difficult sometimes, especially if I've had, like, a stressful day, because I hold a lot of tension in my back and stuff like that, and it's very hard for me to just relax and release tension, and so it's hard for me to fall asleep. And so I'll listen to ASMR, and there's... In some ways, it's, you know, kind of like your binging with Babish situation, where it's just nice to have, like, a voice, and I won't necessarily feel tingles, per se, but it's still, like, a comforting presence, almost, that is then there. I mean, ASMR comes in all different forms, and, you know, like you were saying, like, the videos that you've seen of, like, the pickle and stuff like that, some people actually legitimately listen to that, and that gives them tingles, but ASMR is also kind of, because it's a weird thing, and not everyone experiences, some people play up the weird, or, like, you know, do ASMR in, like, a way that parodies it or makes fun of it. But, like, I know that there's a lot of ASMR artists that are successful. They focus on, like, personal attention. And it's just, like, having another person, like, show that they care about you is, like, very nice to, like, have when you don't necessarily have someone that you know or is available to show that personal care to you. And so it helps people fall asleep. It helps people with anxiety. So I'll usually listen to it before I go to bed. And I listen to it pretty frequently. There was a while... I don't anymore, just because it's hard for me to fall asleep with your headphones in. But ASMR has actually helped bring up, like, things like that, where there's now, like, headband earphones for people who use ASMR. Like, it's big enough of a thing where there's, like, merchandise made to aid in people using ASMR. But for me, it's expensive, obviously. I hate falling asleep with headphones in, and that's my crutch, because ASMR is something that you can experience without headphones, but typically, especially for videos... you have to have headphones in for ASMR, because part of the ASMR effect and what helps cause triggers is the fact that almost all ASMR artists record with a mic that can sense 360 sound. And so it's like okay, I'm at your right ear, now I'm at your left ear. And if you're not using headphones, you can't really experience that as well. So I almost always listen to it at night. I used to listen to it, like, every night for a while. Now I just listen to it occasionally, but sometimes I'll also just listen to it during the day, just as, like... study music, even, because I love music, and so stuff with lyrics and even stuff without lyrics that I enjoy, it'll distract me pretty easily. But ASMR, just kind of like that, you know, it's like the same as, like, white noise, kind of, when people, like, put white noise on for studying or stuff like that, except it's just ASMR, you know, it's just, like, pleasant sounds that help me concentrate.
Yeah, so what I know of ASMR, there's kind of, like, two things that I've seen of it.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned both. The sort of the making noise for noise sake. You know, the tapping on the mic, or the brushing of the hair, or the eating of the pickle. Yeah. And then I've seen role playing. I watch a few commentary YouTubers like Danny Gonzalez and Drew Gooden, and they did one where they talked about this guy who, like, pretends to be your boyfriend situation. In the aspect of, like, these role-playing ASMRs, what do we see from them?
The thing about ASMR is, like, anyone can be triggered by anything, you know, and it's just the trick of an ASMR artist, especially on YouTube with the competitive, you know, thing, is you have to kind of find things that other ASMR artists aren't doing. Or, like, have something about yourself that someone like, you know, because, like, there's a million tapping videos, you know, there's a million, I'm tapping on this object on YouTube, but it's like, I react more to certain ones than other ones just based on the person, and that's personal experience. I don't know, some people may just be like, all tapping is the same, but, like, for me, like, I very specifically have specific ASMR artists that I go to regularly, and so in terms of, like, role-playing, there's all sorts of shit, you know, and some of it's like, there's almost like this guilty pleasure in ASMR where sometimes, like most people that I know, I don't really talk about ASMR to people, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it on this podcast, because this is something that actually is important to me, and I use a lot, but I don't really talk about it because it has, like, this weirdness to it. Like, it's becoming a lot more accepted now, and people kind of understand it, but there's still this level of people are like, ooh, you listen to people tapping on what? You know, and I think there's also just, like the memes and stuff like that, and so it's almost like a guilty pleasure that I have, which is dumb because it's like legitimately like almost like a therapy for me, you know, and it's almost like people being afraid to talk about the fact that they go to therapy. Obviously that's a much bigger like thing, but with ASMR it's like, why don't I talk? And I've tried to be like more open with it, but I don't know. And part of that is, you know, there's a lot of reasons why it has that weirdness around it. Is because, you know, for example, like with the role playing, some people role play like weird shit, you know, and some people really like that weird shit. And it's not me to judge or claim what's weird and what's not. But I know I see a lot, ASMR seems to kind of go hand in hand based on like YouTube comments and stuff like, I don't know what the actual research is. Most people that frequently utilize ASMR have like anxiety or depression. And it seems like there's a good correlation of like, they don't feel like they have as many friends to talk to or places to go. And so being able to then access that role play or, you know, because there's like, I'll go ahead and bring her up. My personal favorite ASMR artist, and she's probably, I don't know the numbers, but I think she is the most popular, if not up in like top 5 popular ASMR artists, is GB ASMR. GIBI. And then ASMR, ASMR. And she's great. She's done a lot for the community. She regularly donates to like different like mental health research centers and stuff like that. So she really uses ASMR as a good platform, and she's helped build the community. They actually attempted recently to make an app specifically for ASMR because a problem that comes up is people who don't have like YouTube Premium. They'll be listening to ASMR, and you have to have the volume all the way up, and then you'll switch videos, and then there'll be a commercial that blasts in your ears, and then that ruins it. And so they were working on making an app, but that's not going too well, admittedly, because they announced, because they had been talking about how they were working on it, and they announced it, and it's like a $9 a month subscription, which is very costly for just ASMR, especially when it's available for free on YouTube, and like, you know, you can use ad block if you're using a computer, or you can pay for YouTube Premium. And if you pay for YouTube Premium, not only do you have ASMR without commercials, but you also have a million other things rather than $9 for just ASMR. So she's a great person, and she's been working hard, but she's been making some questionable business choices recently. But she has like a lot of different role play videos that range anywhere from fictional characters to like friend to doctor. Doctor's a very common one because doctor's where a lot of people experience ASMR and don't even realize what ASMR, you know, because most people experience ASMR and don't know that there's a name for it. But for me personally, like, I've never been able to simulate this with ASMR because part of it's like the sensory of it as well, because I'm very much a sensory person, so a lot of my ASMR comes from sensory, like touch and stuff like that, and so ASMR is nice for me, but to an extent I can't really fully experience it unless I were to like actually go out. I can't like have YouTube simulate it for me, but an ASMR that I've always experienced my entire life is whenever doctors check your ears. That always causes like a little like spine tingle for me, and so there's a lot of like doctor role plays and stuff like that because it's doctors especially, and haircuts and stuff like that. That's just such a natural breeding ground for tingles because there's so many different triggers that happen and personal attention at the same time, you know, because there's like all sorts of sounds, there's like different like sensory inputs, they're focusing on you, it covers different parts of your body, and there's like, you know, with a haircut, like there's like misting sounds, there's snipping sounds, there's brushing hair, you know, there's so many different sounds that could hit different people's triggers. And so there's a lot of role play of that just because that's where a lot of people experience it in the wild, you know. And so she has all sorts of but she has some role plays, I don't watch them personally, but she has some where it's like bratty sister does your, you know, they like kind of niche, but like people like it, you know, and it's like potentially, like I said, I don't really like those, but potentially there's someone out there, obviously there are, because the videos get views, that like maybe have a bratty sister that, you know, like grew up, goes to college or something like that, and watching these videos is like a nostalgia, or there's something about it that like is soothing to them, you know. And so there's all sorts of weird roleplay. She also does fictional character roleplay. She's done some stuff from like Harry Potter. She's done some like Legend of Korra stuff.
I think you showed me some Harry Potter videos.
Yeah, and she also has like some OCs. Like she has like she'll have like specific characters that she puts on. Like, she has one that's relatively popular called Daisy, and that's just her putting on a wig and talking different, you know, and for some people it's like I personally really like the Daisy videos just because I like that character, and there's something about that character that triggers me more than just regular GB, if that makes sense. So it is kind of like a personal thing in who you like. Like, if I can pull up a YouTube video of like ASMR, and the person be doing a great job, have a really awesome interactive roleplay with a bunch of different triggers that I personally like, but if I don't like the person, partially just, you know, on looks or just, you know, how they talk or whatever, you know, it won't work for me. You know, it's like, I don't want to make it sound crude, but it's almost like watching porn. You know, like, it's like, I don't know what everyone else's experience with porn is, but at least for me, like, it could be good porn, in quotations, whatever good porn means. But if I don't like aesthetically the look of the people, I don't enjoy it.
So that does bring me to a lot of, you did mention that, like, a lot of people think it's weird and, like, they don't understand it. One of the reasons why they think it's weird and they don't understand it is because they think it's a sex thing.
There is some sexual connotations to it. And for some people, that's true. That is legitimately a thing. I know I won't blast their name or anything, but I know I have a friend who I brought up ASMR, and they, like, don't really like it. They kind of like it sometimes, but it's specifically, like, part of the reason why they don't like it is it does kind of, for some people, stuff like tingles and triggers also are kind of like an erotic thing where it's like, oh, well, now I'm, like, turned on or something like that. And some people watch it for that purpose. That's not, I wouldn't say that's the primary reason people watch it. There is a decent amount of people in the community where that's at least part of it. I don't know if it's to the extent where it's like, oh, I'm gonna watch ASMR to jack off, but it's like, you know, that nice feeling of, like, arousal, and just, you know, like, so you were mentioning, like, boyfriend role plays, like, feeling, like, cared for, or, like, feeling like, oh, someone's flirting with me, this is nice, haha, I'm aroused, normally I don't get this in day-to-day life, or something like that. And yeah, there's the connotation around that, that kind of steers people away, but most people that use it, I don't think that's the goal, necessarily. I personally don't experience that. It's very much just kind of like a calming thing for me, but also, you know, in some ways, like, being calm and relaxed is an arousal in itself for other people. Like, it's like, oh, well, I'm tense. And, like, just the fact that they're being calmed and talked to by another person can be, you know, because different people are, like, more or less easily aroused. And so it can cause arousal, like, without even trying necessarily, you know. But there are some ASMR artists that's, you know, ASMR is mostly girls. It is a very girl-dominant field on YouTube. It's almost all females. There are a decent amount of men that people like. ASMR zeitgeist, usually people who have accents. Males with accents are pretty popular.
That will do it. Yeah, that will do it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is how most of YouTube is, but you'll notice that the more popular ASMR, like, artists and videos are very, you know, they're all very attractive. And a lot of, like, different language speaking is a very popular thing. Definitely that is part of the stigma, which I think is silly, because I don't, you know, it's like, I don't think you should look at something and be like, people gain arousal from this, and therefore I shouldn't do it. Yeah, that's a very, like, weird way of looking at it, I think. But that is part of it. And, you know, I don't think it's fair to judge people who do, you know, because that would be equivalent for judging people, like I said, for, like, watching porn. It's like, well, I mean, people do what they need to do, and that shouldn't necessarily stop you from consuming or thinking that it's weird, because I don't think most people think porn is weird. That's kind of like a regular thing. And so the fact that ASMR then has that same, like, connotation as it could be used for that purpose, but then is weird, I think that's silly.
But yeah, it's different, and when you hear about it, it's kind of like, what? I've never,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you think about it, like, for me, like, if I were to tell you, like, yeah, the last video that I watched, GB tapping on wood, you know, and, like, stuff like I really like wood tapping. I don't know why. I think for some people, there's certain sounds that, like, maybe they don't even realize it, or just, like, nostalgia. ASMR artists will have, like, triggers that they bring back frequently if they're she has this thing that she calls the toaster coaster, and it's just like a coaster that she uses, you know, just like you know, because ASMR artists have to get, especially when they start out, they just have to be just creative, I guess. They have to get creative with, like, what they use and what they do, because at least starting out, most ASMR artists don't have that much money. They're just kind of, you know, making YouTube videos. And so it's like, oh, what can I use? I don't know, when I tap on this CD case, it sounds nice, you know, and they'll do that. And so she has this coaster, and it's like a cork coaster. I think it's a little thicker than cork, but it has this very, like, particular sound. And most ASMR artists, you'll notice, have like acrylic nails specifically to get that like nail tap sound. And so she'll just tap on it and like it'll, you know, right to left, like different ears. It's really nice. And a lot of people really like it. And it's like, you know, it's equivalent to rain sounds. And rain sounds are considered ASMR. There's a lot of ASMR that'll use rain sounds as part of the video, where they'll be like rain sounds going on in the background, or like fire crackling. I like fire crackling a lot, and that like impacts my life too. Like I have I almost exclusively buy woodwick candles because I like that fire crackle sound, and I don't have a fireplace, so I like having a little candle that can do that. And so this is stuff that like ASMR isn't even just on YouTube. Like this is just stuff that happens in life, you know. And this is like, a lot of people consider Bob Ross the father of ASMR in quotations, because a lot of people also had their first ASMR experience with Bob Ross. Because Bob Ross is another one of those like perfect storms where like it's a very calm, soothing voice. I think in some Bob Ross videos there's like a little bit of music, and then it's also like you're watching this pretty thing be made from a person who is like very kind to you, and then there's like brush noises and stuff like that. And so a lot of people experienced ASMR from Bob Ross, and that's just like, you know, a TV show that you watch. And so ASMR isn't like, some people don't necessarily even seek ASMR out, but they're still experiencing it and they like it. You know, it's just that there's this community of people who specifically are like, I want to have this happen. You know, like I experience ASMR like in my daily life, but then, you know, when I'm going to bed, it's like, well, I want to like make it happen, you know, if that makes sense. And I've actually experienced, I think a lot of people experience this, which is unfortunate. I have gotten to the point where when I first started watching ASMR videos, which was years ago, I can't even put a number on it, but it's been a long time since I've been in the community. I started out watching Heather Feather mostly. She's kind of disappeared a little bit. But she was a very popular ASMR artist when ASMR was kind of first emerging. And I would watch her videos, and it would be, like, constant. Like, it was just constant, like, spine chills and stuff like that. And now I watch videos, and I'll get it, like, maybe once or twice. You know, like, I really, like, it's kind of lost its effect, in quotations. And that's part of why ASMR videos, like, people post videos constantly, you know, and there's so many. And part of that is, you know, the competition of, like, ASMR is an easy, in quotations, thing to do. So it's easy to become, like, a YouTuber that makes money off of that. I'm sure GB makes tons of money, and she basically sits in front of a camera and taps stuff, you know. And so, I mean, you know, there's more to it than that, and I don't think it's as easy as people think it is to make quality ASMR videos.
Well, you have to think about like the production of it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, so in terms of editing and such, ASMR artists that are more popular will post blooper videos all the time, because anytime there's any loud sound that is accidentally made, you gotta edit it out. You have to edit it out. You know, and that can be something like a car driving by. You know, you have to have the equipment that you buy. Most people use what's called a 3DO. You may have seen it in videos, but it's this microphone that is ears, where it's like this rectangular base, and then on each end there's actually like a human ear replication, and then inside that human ear there's a microphone. A lot of people use that because that helps the ASMR artists like know where they are on your ear and when they're recording, so it's like, oh, well, I'm this distance from their ear, and you know, they can hear from this. But also some people like the visual. Most ASMR has visuals to it, which sounds funny because it's like, you know, it's mostly sound based, but for me I like the visual as well. Like GB does some videos where it's like she'll change the colors for different triggers, or she'll do hand movements specifically. In one of her Daisy videos that she has, that's like a medical exam one, I watch that one all the time. There's this one like cranial nerve exam, and I've never even had a cranial nerve exam, and this one is intentionally like bad because the character doesn't know what she's doing. And I love it, and it's not even because of what it is, it's just because the specific things that happen appeal to me somehow. Especially there's a point where she simulates that like shining a light in your eyes and seeing if it dilates and moving it around the screen, and you have to follow the light with your eyes, and for some reason that triggers me really well. Like I'll like pretty much any time I watch that video, that portion will like at least give me some kind of like sense of like calm and stuff like that, which is very fascinating. Like I've tried to like self-reflect and be like, why does this thing trigger me? And I don't know. You know, because like I said, going to the doctor, whenever they would like check my ears out, that would give me triggers. But anytime I've ever been to like an optometrist or something and they've shined the light, it's never impacted me before. But for some reason in the video with Daisy, it does. And so it's like, I don't even know why that's the thing that I experience.
Do you think it's because it is Daisy? It is Juby? His character?
Partially, I think. I didn't mention this earlier, but now that I'm thinking about it. When you go to a doctor, like I said, that is the perfect storm of, like, there's a bunch of things that can trigger you, both, you know, sensory, visual, etc. But usually when you're at the doctor, you feel bad. You feel sick. You're paying money for it. It's not ideal. But in this scenario...
Health insurance is shit.
No, absolutely, yeah. And so, like... And I hate the optometrist because I have one eye that's just fucked up.
Really?
I don't know if I've ever told you that, but I technically... Like, I have to wear glasses to drive because I fail the eye exam. Because one of my eyes just... I have, like, 20/70 or whatever. Like, I have very bad vision in one of my eyes. And then my other eye is, like, 20/20.
Yeah, so you don't have, like, a great time at...
No, and so it's just...
doctor's offices,
so,
but
like,
somehow this person on the internet is making it better.
Yeah, and that's, you know, and I think that's because, like, I'm lying in bed. This is a person that I feel like I know to some extent, and that I trust. Yeah. And I'm not paying for it, and I don't necessarily feel... I mean, I feel sick all the fucking time because of my allergies, but I'm at least, like, you know, it's not that... It's all of the good of the doctor's appointment without the bad, you know,
without paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of why it appeals to people so much, is there's an enjoyment of doctor's visits, of, like, having someone care about you and, like, check you out and, like, have all these, like, weird, funny things that are happening. But usually it's coupled with, I'm sick and I have to pay for this and I'm missing things and this sucks. You know, whereas this is, like, a controlled environment of, like, I like this person, they're attractive and they're doing eye exams, you know, it's like, whatever. And that's, like, the funny thing is I'll watch some of these, like, obscure, like, I'm doing a cranial nerve exam. Like it makes me want to go get a cranial nerve exam. Like, I'm like, this is interesting. You know, there's, like, so much stuff that ASMR has, like, taught me. Like, there's so many different... Like, I watched an eyebrow threading video one time. Was it eyebrow threading? It's called microblading. That's what it's called. There's this new thing in eyebrows where they microblade... Like, if you have, like, very sparse eyebrows, they'll microblade, and that basically just means they're practically tattooing your eyebrows on and making them look fuller. And GB has a video where she, like, microblades your eyebrows. And I watched that. And, like, part of it's just because, you know, GB released a new video, I want to watch it. And I was just sitting there and I was like, this is nice. You know, but, like, I don't fucking know what microblading. I don't want my eyebrows, if anything, are too thick. And so it's like, I don't know, it's very funny, like, the things that appeal to you in ASMR, because it's like, I would never go to a microblading appointment, but here I am experiencing one, and I'm having a good time. You know?
So, you're obviously very into this community. So, what do you remember when your first interaction, your first instance of seeing ASMR?
I want to say, I mentioned Heather Feather earlier, and I think that was probably it. I mean, like you said, I'd watch videos sometimes, especially, I grew up in choir, and I've been in choir for a long time, and choir was a big part of ASMR for me, because I've always been very easily triggered by music, and so I've experienced it long before I actually ever watched a video. But I think one of my first videos that I watched was Heather Feather would pretty frequently, she has a very soft, particular voice, she's very interesting to listen to, and she's pretty in, like, a, you know, like a 2000s way. She's still pretty, but, like, she had a specific, like, look and charm about her for, like, early 2010. I don't know when she set up her channel, actually. But yeah, I want to say, honestly, probably the first time I watched her video was, like, 6-7 years ago. With Heather Feather, I think I watched a video of hers. You know those, like, weird things that you put on your head that have, like, it's like a handle and then, like, a bunch of curved out metal things?
Yeah, it's like a whisk, but it
looks like a whisk, but it's cut, and people use it as, like, a head massage.
Yeah, that shit is great.
That's a very common ASMR thing, because that gives a lot of people, at least to maybe not necessarily a tingle down their spine, but a lot of people, when they use that, they're like, what the fuck? You know? Like,
yeah, it is.
Like, it has a very specific response.
Yeah.
And that's used a lot in ASMR because of that. And unfortunately, ASMR, I've never found a video that's truly able to, you know, because most of that is touch. Part of ASMR, I think, at least for me, is, like, your brain filling in the gaps of, like, I can hear this person massaging my head, and therefore my brain is like, well, I can feel it too, kind of. Because there are a lot of videos that are, like, head massage. That's a very common ASMR thing, is head massages or ear rubs and stuff like that. And obviously they're not actually massaging your head, so you don't get the full effect, but I think just the sound itself can kind of trigger your brain to feel like that sensation is happening to you. I don't know the science, but at least that's how it kind of feels to me. And so she would use those in a lot of videos, and I loved those things. I don't know why I don't own one. I should. I'll listen to all sorts of different triggers, and I like to find, like I mentioned him briefly earlier, but there's this guy called ASMR Zeitgeist, and that's ZEITGEIST, and he doesn't really do roleplay or anything like that. He's part of the reason why people like him is he has very high production quality. His videos are beautiful, and just very good quality, and he's very good at editing and layering things, but he just uses weird ass shit, and it's all very aesthetically pleasing weird ass shit, and so I'll I'll watch stuff of his that's very, like, I'm playing with Orbeez, I'm playing with, just, like, all sorts of, like, weird, funky things, but almost always, like, if I'm, like, really, like, anxious and I want to listen to ASMR right now, and I need it, and I want to sleep, I'll just do, like, ear tapping videos. Like, that's kind of, like, Old Faithful for me, because there's, like, at least for me, this is gonna delve into a slight tangent, but, like, for the zodiac, if you believe in astrology, the different zodiacs have different erogenous zones.
That's a thing?
Do you not know that?
No.
Yeah, so...
Listen, I'm not really into star signs. I, like, pretend that I do, and, like, I'm like, oh yeah, she's such a Gemini, and, like, actually I'm a Taurus. I'm like,
yeah,
whatever.
I love astrology in concept, and just I'm very, it's like when people ask me if I believe in ghosts, this sounds like a tangent, but this is related. When people ask me if I believe in ghosts, I'm like, yeah, for fun.
Yeah,
no. What's the fun in being like, no, ghosts don't exist? It's like, yeah, sure, I'll believe in ghosts. Like, maybe they're not real, but, like, it's fun, like, thinking that they might be. And it's kind of the same with astrology, where, like, astrology might be bullshit, but, like, there's something fun in, like, I'm an Aries, And so it's just, like,
yeah.
It's just good. Not to get controversial, but it's kind of like religion.
Oh, shit! Hot takes.
It's just kind of, like, there's an enjoyment in, like, believing in this thing that appeals to me. And so, with astrology... and I've found this to be somewhat true, regardless of whether you believe astrology or not. There is an assigned erogenous. Erogenous is like an area of sexual pleasure. For Aries, it's the head. And so I think ASMR might appeal to me more so because, and I find this to be true with myself, whenever people, especially, like, play with my hair, give me head massages, that's my most zen mode. Like, anytime people are like, I want to play with your hair, I fucking love that shit.
Yeah, I remember... when we did Midsummer, we would go to Brittany's house and we would watch Steven Universe.
Yeah, and you would play with my hair, and I'd cry. Like, it's so, like, that's such, I love that. People never play with my hair anymore. People played with my hair a lot in high school. But for some
reason, such a theater thing, I think.
Yeah, it was a very theater thing. And you know what? That might be part of it. Is, like, I used to have people that were very willing to play with my hair, give me head massages, whatever. And now, I mean, I have a significant other that'll occasionally play with my hair. I think part of ASMR and why I enjoy that is because that it's something that I enjoy, and I don't get it as much as I used to. Yeah. And so even though it's not actually physically someone playing with my hair, it's still someone's giving me attention and, like, touching my head, and that's nice. And I think, like I said, my brain fills in the gaps of, like, you hear tapping sounds on your ears, someone's tapping your ears, and it's almost like I can feel it.
There is something nice about, because I like it when people play with my hair too, consensually.
No, of course.
But I also like playing with people's hair because it does kind of give you that weird, not a weird sensation, but it's like, well, I like it when people play with my hair, so I guess that's a thing for other people too.
No, absolutely. And it's funny that you bring up, like, you like playing with other people's hair, because I think a lot of ASMR artists, part of being an ASMR artist is also, I've never met an ASMR artist that isn't also part of the community and enjoys tingles and, like, helps promote other people, except for maybe, like, lower people. But, like, the higher people, like, I can't remember if it was GB or someone else, but there was someone who, I think it is GB, she posts in her description box, this is the last thing I listened to that gave me a tingle. And it's kind of like a shout out to, like, other ASMR artists, but, like, she genuinely enjoys it too. And I think there's also, like, a therapeuticness of doing it. I've done it once, and it was kind of a joke. I did it with my ex. We were just messing around, and we had made slime. Because slime's actually a very common ASMR thing.
We just made slime at my place for an event.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping it. What the fuck how do you store slime?
Yeah.
So I just put it in this jar, and now sometimes, and I don't touch the slime now because it's too sticky. I didn't add enough cornstarch or starch to it, so it's just really sticky. So I kind of just leave it in the jar, and I fill up the jar every now and then. I just see it.
That would be more borax. If it's
borax.
too sticky,
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know how to make slime.
I know a lot about slime. I'm terrible at making it, but
yeah, so
slime's a big thing.
So I just leave it in this jar, and then every now and then I'll just flip the jar over, and I'll just watch it like slowly fall. I'm like, huh.
Slime's nice.
Slime is nice.
That's another thing. People make fun of me because slime was kind of seen as like a little kid thing for a while of like, make slime. But there's actually a YouTuber, Courtney Lundquist. But I watch slime videos all the fucking time. Just like for fun. Because she does all sorts of like slime reviews, and she'll do like 1-star Etsy slime shops versus 5-star Etsy slime shops. And there's something so like just genuinely pleasing about it, where that's not even intending to be ASMR necessarily, but part of her reviews she'll actually say like, I feel like this slime is good for ASMR, and I think ASMR artists actually watch her stuff and are like, oh, I should buy this slime. So there's there's videos that are like ASMR but aren't exactly like ASMR that I still kind of get that like calming effect from, and that's definitely like slime videos. Her specifically, just, she's very knowledgeable. She knows what she's talking about. This kind of goes into that gray area of like arousal and everything, but I think part of the enjoyment for me of different ASMR, especially with GB, is GB knows what she's talking about. And anytime people do like the doctor role plays, this kind of goes off track from me enjoying Daisy's, because Daisy doesn't know what she's doing. But, like, her cranial nerve exams and stuff, I really love when people know shit. Like, that's not, like, I wouldn't say a turn-on necessarily, but something that I find attractive about people is, like, whenever they know what they're talking about, or they're passionate about something, and, like, there's science involved. Like, I love hearing, like, the science of things. And so I think part of the reason why those kind of videos are appealing to me is, like, they know what they're talking about, and there's the science of it. And I'm like, yes, an intellectual. And so watching Courtney's slime videos, she just, like, she has all this terminology that she uses, and, like, she knows slime, and she's very picky about her slime, and but yeah, so tangent. This is a tangent in its own. But I was talking about podcasts.
Good. Go on.
We were talking about podcasts in my comedy class that I'm in, and how we were talking about the death of one-liner comics, and how comics have kind of, one-liner comics have kind of died out, and it's more common for comics now to go on tangents and stuff like that, because podcasts have changed the way that we view comedy, which is very interesting. Mm-hmm. People are just used to people going on tangents now, where in the past it kind of seemed like, not professional and weird, but now it feels like personal and what we're used to, which is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not afraid to go on tangents anymore, because it's like, well, that's what, that's what's happening. That's the world we live in now. Back to what I was talking about. X and I were playing with slime, and we like wanted. I have a Yeti microphone, which some people use for ASMR. It's not the best necessarily, but it's capable of that kind of 3D sound and everything. Some people actually prefer different mics to other mics. Like sometimes GB will use a Yeti microphone specifically because certain people are triggered more by the sound quality of a Yeti in comparison to a 3D. Very interesting stuff. And I think I'm one of those people. And part of that might be because I use one myself. But we were just like doing it like jokingly, and it was fun. Like there's something fun about it. I have for a while of like doing my own ASMR channel. But two things are holding me back. One thing is I found out recently that if you whisper a lot,
it hurts your voice.
It hurts your voice, and you can actually develop nodes from it. And a lot of ASMR is whispering, and I'm curious if ASMR artists know that. I almost want to like tell them. I was like nervous about it, and I was like,
do they know?
Literally, yeah.
Do they know?
Literally the other day I was sitting in my room and I was like, what if GB gets notes? And it's funny that like I legitimately care about this person because she's, it's almost like she's a presence in my life. But the other thing is the weirdness of it. Other people that I know are like, starting podcasts and like doing YouTube channels and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I want to do something. And I think ASMR would be fun because it's something that I enjoy and I like the community. And I think I have the knowledge of how triggers and stuff works. But, I don't have the editing abilities necessarily, but I can learn. But I haven't because there is that stigma. And that sucks. There's this thing that like I would like to do that like would help me and like help other people. And like I'm afraid to be like, yeah, I have an ASMR YouTube channel because if people, it's like someone finding that you have a TikTok, like at your school, it's like, I have a TikTok. It's like, well, yeah, something I do for fun. And it's like, there's this fear of like, if I start an ASMR channel, people will, because I'm a relatively known person on Texas State campus just from the fact that I'm in an org. I say that, there's a million people on Texas State campus and no one knows me, but, I have enough people that know me and I interact with enough strangers to where it's like, if I make an ASMR channel, it'd be like, I'm worried that people will be like, ha, you do ASMR, which is so dumb, because, like, that's just, you know, it's something I enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's something that other people enjoy that I think I could be decent at, because, you know, I want to be a voice actor. Exploring ASMR might help with that, even though it is, you know, it can be unhealthy, but I don't know. There's something about it. I wish I was willing to do that. I feel like I might. Now that I've talked about it on this podcast and I've, like, put myself out there. I don't know. I might. And that's, you know, it's also helpful, like, role play. Like, it could be a way for me to experiment with different voices and OCs and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is also going to go on a tangent. This is the tangent episode.
Woo, that's because I'm on it.
I wanted to do this. I wanted to start this podcast.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you and Brittany before that, like, yeah, I started this podcast because, like, basically the selling point of it is, like, there's so much goddamn media nowadays, and everyone I know, literally, I am surrounded by theater and film majors, and all of them are watching different shit. All of them are listening to different shit, and they enjoy it, and they're recommending me lists upon lists of things, and I'm like, man, I gotta watch Avatar again. Calm down.
Yeah.
And
dude, I'm really glad that you're doing this, because I feel the same way. We're like, I don't have, for those of you that may or may not know, this is being recorded in Brittany's home, and I was present quietly, hopefully quietly, in the background.
There was definitely
during the previous episode.
I heard, like, I could tell, like,
the
you were
occasional
noshing.
cheese ball.
Yeah, you were noshing. You're just having a little cheese ball. Eugene, the little bastard that he is, stuck his head in the cheese ball bag.
I'm sure that made a good amount of noise.
And that probably made some noise.
Yeah.
Eugene here is a cat. I'm not talking about, like, a little child. This is a little bastard cat.
But yeah, I was quietly in the background, and, like, I don't think I could ever get into Divinity. That's not something that I'm willing to, like, put my time into. But it's cool, and it was really nice to, like, hear about it and learn about it through, like, a podcast. Because I'm the same way, where I'm not a media person. I play D&D and I hang out with friends. I'm very much, like, a social person, and it's hard for me to just sit down and watch a show unless it's a social format. Like, pretty much any show or video game that I play is with my boyfriend. Like, you know, like, it's so hard for me to just sit down and watch a show. Just because I get lonely. And that's something that I haven't talked about in terms of ASMR. I'm sure I do have some level of anxiety, depression, associated with, I have OCPD, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, which basically is the perfectionist disease, where I just want everything to be perfect.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, it's like OC. I've never been, like, officially, like, by a psychiatrist diagnosed, but I went to counseling last year, and my counselor was like, yeah. But it's basically, OCD is, like, you have certain, like, tics and requirements of, like, obsessive compulsive, I need to turn this door handle 3 times before I open it, stuff like that. Or, like, I need things to be organized and neat. And OCPD is similar to that, but life. Where, like, I called it the perfection. It's basically, like, at all times, I'm like, I need to be perfect. Everything needs to be perfect. Things need to work out a certain way, or I'm going to mentally collapse. Which is why I'm anxious all the time, especially because I put myself into positions where it's like, I'm the leader of an organization. Haha! I need everything to be perfect, or I'm gonna die! And so I think ASMR definitely helps with that. But another reason why I like ASMR is I also have separation anxiety, to some degree. Where whenever growing up, it was me and my brother. My brother and I.
Who cares? We don't care about grammar.
We
don't care about grammar here.
My brother and I, he was my best friend, and we would play video games and hang out a lot. But he was 10 years older than me. He is 10 years older than me. And so he went to college. And he was kind of one of my main friends. And whenever he went to college, I kind of developed, like, a separation anxiety, which I just don't like being alone. When I first started driving, I had to keep a stuffed animal in the car because driving alone stressed me out.
Plus, you get the carpool lane.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I've gotten both my OCPD and my separation anxiety. Now that I know what they are and that I have them, I've gotten a lot better about them. And part of that is done through ASMR because, you know, it comes from that presence thing of, like, me. I mentioned earlier it's hard for me to fall asleep alone, and that's because separation anxiety. And so then ASMR is, like, a way to treat that in that, like, you know, I have a person with me, and that's very nice, you know. And so I don't remember how did we get here?
Well, I wanted to loop back to the conversation.
Sure, let's...
No, it's fine. We've gone on many tangents. Good luck following this.
Oh, this is very fun.
My 3 listeners. But yeah, the reason why
someone should post, like, I don't know, what are you posting this podcast on?
I'm gonna post it to YouTube and SoundCloud.
Yeah, someone should post in, like, the YouTube comments, like, timestamps for, like, here's when they actually get back to what they were talking about, if you want to skip through this tangent. That would be funny.
I wanted to do this podcast because, you know, I have so many people recommending me things, and I don't have enough time in one day to do that, and plus I have work, and plus I have school, and plus
That's the conversation we were having.
Yeah, but the other reason why I wanted to do this is because of people's passion, because I absolutely adore when people are passionate about things.
Oh no, me too, absolutely.
And especially my friends. So that's why, like, the first 4 episodes of this is literally just my friends talking about shit that they love. Yeah. And I like it, and, you know, a lot of the things that my friends enjoy, like, my first episode was with my friend Maddie, and she likes Undertale, but it's you know, specifically Sans Undertale.
Sans is great.
And not just Sans, but the different Sanses in that universe, that, like, in the fandom universe.
I need to talk to Maddie. That sounds so cool.
And so, like, a lot of people think that's, like, cringy. Yeah. Because, like, you know, and there is definitely, like, you see a bunch of people making fun of cringe culture.
Cringe culture is the dumbest shit on earth.
Yeah.
It drives me up the fucking
And, like, I used to be like that, too. I'd be like, oh, that's so cringe. Yeah. But, like, I definitely was like that when I was middle school, high school. I would make fun of things, but also secretly enjoy it. Like,
that's what it comes to a lot of the times. Is it, you know, it's like the bullied becomes the bully and stuff like that. It's like, I like this thing. I bring up furries a lot because furry cringe culture drives me crazy, because there's a lot of people, you know, I had a coworker that was a furry, and for some people, like, it's this, like, very sexual weird kind of thing, and like I understand why that's kind of, like, suppressed, especially when, like, furry stuff turns into, like, I'm gonna fetishize a child cartoon, you know. That's not okay. That's, but, like, good. The thing that sucks is that there's, like, you know, it's the same with ASMR. I'd say there's, like, the weird that is seen, and it's like, this whole thing is bad. When in reality, there's some people who are just like, I like having a persona, and that's just, you know, I
just think it's neat.
Exactly. I like having a costume and stuff like that. And so, like, I'm not personally a furry. I respect furries, and I like everyone that I've met that's been like, yeah, I'm a furry. I've enjoyed as a person, you know, and stuff like that. And I feel like ASMR is the same way, where, like, usually the ASMR that you see in mainstream is like, I eat a pickle loud, haha, you know, and it's like, ew, that's weird. But, like, in reality, like, there's, like, all this nice, actual, cool stuff. Yeah. There's an ASMR artist, one of my other favorite ASMR artists, Frivolous Fox ASMR. She goes by Frivy Fox. I don't know what her actual handle is, but she's really cool, and she's had a very hard life. Like, she talks about it a little bit on her channel, and I haven't listened to most of it, but, if I remember correctly, she's had just someone, like, pass away in her life or something like that. And I think ASMR, like, genuinely helps her and, like, helps other people. You know, it's something that, like, it's people helping other people that are helping themselves. You know, it's a very nice community to be in. Like, it's because it's, you know, with other fandoms, like, for Undertale, for example, it's like, there are some fans that are, like, toxic fans, and you know, and I've never seen, like, you know, there's not such a thing as, like, a toxic ASMR community member. You know, it's just kind of a bunch of people listening to people tap on things to fall asleep. Really? You know, and we're all just kind of, like, hanging out.
I think, like, you know, all fandoms do have shitty people.
Absolutely, and that, like, shouldn't, you know, and that shouldn't define, not to take away from Maddie's section of the podcast or anything, but, like, Undertale's a great example of that, where, like, Undertale is such a beautiful thing, and because it became so popular, there's some, like, cringy people in it, in quotations. It, like, ruined the game for some people, and it's become, like, a meme. But, like, it's a good game, you know, and it sucks that, like, people let other people ruin that for them. And, you know, it's the same for ASMR. It's like I was saying earlier with ASMR, like, yeah, for some people it's an erotic thing, but, like, the fact that other people let that ruin what could potentially be, like, a nice therapeutic thing for them, that sucks. It really sucks that that's a thing that happens, so.
Yeah, and, like, yeah, I want this to be, like, I want to have people to discuss different things, and a lot of the time, what's the deeper meaning? Why do people enjoy these things?
Yeah.
And I want to fight cringe culture one fandom thing at a time.
That's really cool. Yeah, and that's a great way to use this podcast for sure.
And yeah, and it's interesting because, sometimes I make fun of ASMR. We mentioned how it's cringy to have a TikTok. Well, guess what I have? I have a TikTok.
Yeah,
and
as do I.
And one of my latest videos, because I had slime, I was like, oh, I'm going to be real funny and original. Mm-hmm. And I started playing with the slime. I'm like, I'm a slime channel now, lol, ha ha ha. Yeah. Is this the content you like?
And I don't think that's bad. Like,
But then I started playing with it. I'm like, oh shit, this is fun. Nice. This is actually fun. Oh no.
That's so fun. Yeah, because there's this one girl, she goes by Fruity Poppin'. It's Fruity Poppin' ASMR, and I think she's actually like an Instagram like model influencer or whatever. Mm-hmm. But for like a subscriber special or something, she like jokingly made ASMR, and they're the funniest videos ever. And like it's not like she's like rude about it. Like it's not like she's like haha ASMR, but like she just like jokingly is like attempting to make ASMR, and they're so funny. And I'll make jokes about that too because like. I think ASMR jokes are fun, because it's like
because you're still doing ASMR essentially.
No, definitely, because I'll like every now and then I'll like be in class or something and I'm like ASMR and I'll tap on stuff and some people don't like it.
Yeah,
and that's another thing is like the thing with ASMR is like I guess this is the same with any fandom, but some people just. Like, it has the opposite effect, where they hear, like, these tapping noises, and they're like, ugh, this does not feel good, like, some,
yeah.
like...
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, because I'll try to, like, every now and then I'll be like, listen to this ASMR video, or, like, check this out, and they're like, I don't like this at all. That's
my ears, and what's what's the opposite of a tingle, then? Is there a word for that?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
A cringle.
Because that's a good word, cringle. Because that's what happens is sometimes, GP started doing, like, trigger warnings. Yeah, not in the sense of like a trigger warning as in like, someone's gonna bleed, but it's like in the sense of like, hey, in this video I used cotton balls, and there's some people that really hate the sound of cotton balls, but they like the other things in the video. There's a comment, I was mentioning timestamps earlier. Part of the reason why I mentioned that is in YouTube comments, frequently people will watch an ASMR video, because most ASMR videos are compilations. They aren't like, I'm gonna tap on this one thing for an hour. It's like
gotta get a fingernail workout.
It's like over the course of an hour, I'm going to use a variety of different things that may or may not fall under a theme. And people will put timestamps where like, if I'm watching a video and all of a sudden a trigger pops up and I'm like, this isn't really doing it for me. I can go down and like skip to the next thing and be like, oh, I like this sound. Mm-hmm. And so that's a common thing where people will just skip around and like different things. And there's also sometimes it's like nice to hear a voice, and sometimes I just want not a voice. And there's actually ASMR artists that will cater to that, where they'll post essentially the same video, but in one video they're talking, in one video they aren't. Because some people like the talking, they either don't like it or it's like too much or something like that. And then some people, they really enjoy the talking. And so sometimes people will post like mirror videos where it's like they just add or take out one thing. But yeah, it's yeah, it's funny because there's some people who just, like I said, medically they just don't really experience it like ever, or it's not something that can be triggered through video. Because some people are very like sensory. Yeah. But like, also some people just genuinely don't like it, you know, and it's the same, it's the same with me where like, I haven't really found a sound that I dislike. But there are definitely sounds where it's like, I like the sound over others. And there's some people who just don't like any of it just because there is like that personal space thing. Cause ASMR is kind of, it's kind of a personal space. For me, like I watch it because I like having someone in my personal space and I like being like touched and like, paid attention to and cared for. But people
pats and whatnot.
Yeah, but people who maybe are more introverted or don't like that or don't like quiet noises or whispering or something, like, yeah, it's probably not for them. I don't know if there's like an opposite to ASMR that then they would enjoy other than like loud music or something. I don't know.
What it kind of reminds me of is this is gonna sound really weird. There's a movie called My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
Where this a New York guy goes to a small town to defend his cousin who was accused of a crime.
Yes.
And so the Vinny character, the joke is, one of the jokes is he keeps getting arrested, but his girlfriend keeps getting him out of jail. So, and they can't sleep in the hotel because it's like every little thing is waking them up. So the one night that he does stay in jail, he falling asleep like a fucking baby because of all of the noise, because he's a city boy.
Yeah.
And, like, all of that noise puts him straight to sleep.
No, definitely. And I think that helps people, too. I don't personally do this necessarily, but I'm sure there are other people that do. The problem is I don't have anyone to talk to about this. Like, I've tried to talk to people about it, and I know, like, obviously there's a huge community for it, but almost no one I know in daily life that I've brought up ASMR to has been like, yeah, I listen to ASMR. I don't really know anyone. So I'm coming from pretty much just my knowledge and then what I see online. Because, I mean, ASMR can be rain noises. Mm-hmm. You know, that counts. I mean, anything can count as ASMR, because obviously there's, like I was saying, like, there's ASMR, like, as a concept on YouTube of ASMR artists. But ASMR itself, the word, is just that sensation. Yeah. And so you can, you know, people that listen to music to fall asleep, that's equatable. That's equatable to ASMR.
Usually what I do not to fall asleep, but just because I like having the noise, I'll listen to Studio Ghibli music.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that anything can be ASMR. Technically. Or, like, listening, like, people who listen to music to fall asleep, people who have white noise machines, rainforest music to study, whatever. That's ASMR, technically. You know, and so it's actually, like, a very common, accessible thing that a lot of people do. It's just that not everyone necessarily knows or reaches out for ASMR specific type things.
There are also, I don't know if this is like connected to ASMR, but there are these hypnotic videos that are on YouTube sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I'd say that's definitely ASMR.
Yeah, where someone's like, there's like the weirder ones where like, this will turn you into a cow, or this one's just like, this one will make you go to sleep immediately. Yeah. Or I've seen ones where like, this one will give you an orgasm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's like, I think there is studies where there's some videos that you'll see where it's like, this specific noise played at this decibel in these things has something to do with, like, your brain waves, and therefore it is, like, medically supposed to do something to your brain. And I don't know the truth in that, but I think there is the truth in that, like, you know, ASMR. Like, it's a calming thing. And yeah, like I said, like, you know, something like podcasts are ASMR, you know, and like this, it's so, like, obviously we're being loud, we say fuck, we've been talking a lot. As far as what you deem ASMR or not, like, there is a specific community, there are specific triggers and stuff like that, but I would consider, for me, in a loose sense, like, Game Grumps is ASMR to me in some way, because, like, I've been watching, for those of you that don't know, Game Grumps is a Let's Play channel. These two dudes that just play video games and are incredible. But in a way, like, they're an ASMR to me, because a lot of times when I'm doing housework, like if I'm folding laundry or something, I like music a lot and I listen to music. There's not a presence with music that, like, other things where, like, there's people going on would be, where, like, I'll put Game Grumps compilations on while I'm doing laundry, and that, like, in a way is ASMR to me. Not in that it gives me triggers necessarily, but in the sense that it's providing me this noise and presence that keeps me, like, calm and focused while I'm doing a task.
Yeah, and that's so, like, anything can be ASMR.
Yeah, I would argue that. And I mean, I don't know what the opinions are on that by, like, professionals or whatever, but to me, like, you know, like, ASMR, like I said, in its sense, like, yeah, there's ASMRs and, like, ASMR artists in the community and videos specifically that are called ASMR, but ASMR in reality is, you know, autonomic sensory meridian response.
Long Latin words. Gotcha.
And so, yeah, like, people who are like, haha, ASMR is weird, and then go and, like, listen to music to fall asleep, it's ASMR, you know, like, that kind of counts. And, like I was saying, podcasts, like, in a way, are ASMR, because it's very nice, you know, like, why would someone choose to listen to music over a podcast, or why would someone choose to listen to podcasts over music? And, like, for some people, I think it is kind of like, it's nice to hear people talk, you know, because we as humans are wired to be social creatures. Like, even if you're an introvert, and I think that might, you know, for some introverts, I think that might be a thing where, like, I don't really want to go out right now, but, you know, you still crave social interaction. So ASMR is kind of like a way where I don't have to go be seen and be out in the world, but I can, like, have this person with me. Because I, like, there'll be days where I'm very extroverted, and therefore I burn myself out very easily. Until I'll have, like, burnout days where it's like, okay, I've been hanging out with people constantly all the time, I just need a day to, like, be by myself. But because I'm so extroverted, that's hard for me to do. And so, like, being able to stay in my room and not really want to see people, but then have ASMR where it's kind of like I am still with people, is very nice. And I think a lot of people do that without even knowing that is ASMR. you know, like listening to music or listening to podcasts as a way to like stay connected. That's ASMR. And that's ASMR to me. You know, like I get very like philosophical about it because obviously, you know, like I said, like I have OCD, separation.
Go on, I love it.
Like yeah, like I have all of these things that kind of like make ASMR different to me, but some people, you know, it just comes down to I like click clack noises. You know, like it can be very simple, but I think really it is like a therapeutic thing, just like how, you know, like they play music at spas. Like it just helps you relax, and it's very nice. And so the fact that there's like this weird cringe culture around it is so baffling because it's literally just people tapping on things. And like, yeah, there are some where it's like, I seduce you, but like, you know, like let people have fun, you know, like not everyone is regularly flirted with in daily life. And it's nice to be able to like have someone flirt with you, you know? It's like,
oh.
Yeah.
Oh, for me? Yeah.
Yeah, generally.
So I did want to swing back to like the production aspect of ASMR real quick because I think it's kind of interesting from like a you know, a behind the scenes sort of situation,
definitely.
which is something that I do with, you know, my major.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned all of these different mics that people have. You have the Yeti, you have the 360.
3DO, yeah.
The 3DO, the ears.
Yeah, I'd say the most common ones that I see are the Yeti, the 3DO, and the Tascam. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes people will have like other setups of other different mics that aren't necessarily for 360, but they have like multiple set up, and that kind of makes a 360. So there's a lot of options. But yeah, what were your main questions?
Well, yeah, and also you also have to think about like sounding your room and whatnot.
Absolutely, yeah.
They probably have to have like soundproofing.
Soundproofing and stuff like that. And even in GB's videos, which have pretty high quality, and you can tell she actually has someone edit for her. She doesn't edit herself anymore.
Oh, okay.
So she actually has an editor.
Once you have like an editor for like to edit your own to edit your videos, you know you made it.
No, she has money for sure. She's getting married soon, I think, and I think most of that is
wedding ASMR.
Wow. But no, she makes a good amount of money. She gets sponsors like crazy. That's the thing about ASMR is very family friendly, you know, and there's that whole thing with like monetization on YouTube. ASMR is such an easy thing to monetize because it's not like anyone's cussing or what. I mean, unless that's specifically the video, but I mean, most ASMR it's just a person, you know, playing with things, and so losing monetization or having copyright issues or anything like that, very rare. And so people who do ASMR and are very good at it and are like high up in there, almost all their videos are monetized, and it's very easy to get sponsors because, you know, they're not a sponsor might be afraid to put their name with a channel that does weird things and cusses a lot and isn't family friendly. But with ASMR, like especially for GB, I don't think she cusses ever. And if she does, a lot of like ASMR artists where if they ever cuss in bloopers, they actually bleep it out, just because they know kids watch their stuff. But so there's a lot of like sponsors that are willing to put their name to ASMR. So she has like, I think she calls it sponsored Saturdays. Like she has enough sponsors and attraction to where every Saturday she'll post a video and that's her sponsored video. And,
but not all of her videos are sponsored.
No, but I'm sure she she has money. She has money for sure. Which is nice because, you know, you get to a point with ASMR where like you need to buy stuff, you know, like you can only rely on what you have on your house for so long. But I haven't looked up how much the 3DO costs, but I'm sure it's a lot. Those cameras, and she has really good cameras too. Because I think part of it is also, you know, you're trying to simulate that personal interaction. You need to have a good ass camera because, you know, otherwise it's like if you're looking at this grainy, not great quality video, it's like, well, they're not there. This is a video. But with a really nice camera and high FPS, it's like, oh, this person's with me, you know, and you can see that in her videos. And she'll also do like lights and changing things, and she'll like buy like costumes and stuff. So as far as production goes, like if you get better, you know, you kind of need to have like that monetary income because ASMR, you constantly need to try new things because it is a very competitive market where, you know, arguably anyone can go tap on stuff, you know, and so it's like, what can you do to make yourself stand out, be different? How can you appeal to as many different people as possible? Because if you're making like all the same videos where it's like, I tap on these things, not everyone likes tapping videos. And so in order to please your market, you need to be having videos that come out regularly with a wide variety of triggers and different things that may attract different people and stuff like that. So the production is actually, like I said, like it seems easy, but it's actually a lot, you know, to like stay like high up there. You have to have really good editing. You have to have very good knowledge of, like, sound and, like, what would peak and what wouldn't. You have to have a very good setup. And, like, there's no mistakes. I mean, obviously there are, but editing. You know, like, you can't drop anything. You know, because in a YouTube video, like, if someone drops something and makes a loud noise, it's like, haha, that's funny. Or we don't need to edit it out, but in ASMR, you have to.
Yeah.
Because then that'll disturb people, and then people won't watch your video.
So, Moira.
Yes.
Why haven't you started an ASMR channel?
Yeah, so I talked about that earlier, is, like, I definitely feel like I should.
Uh-huh.
It's just, you know, it comes down to, I don't know editing very well. I would like to learn how to edit, but I don't know editing very well. I'm very poor. And so what I have in terms of, like, what I could show, the only camera that I have is the camera that's built into my laptop, and thankfully that camera's actually very nice. I only have a Yeti. And some people really like Yetis. Basically just a bunch of excuses.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of excuses.
I mean, like...
but genuinely, like, I think it'd be fun. I just need to get over that idea of, like, oh no, if I make an ASMR channel, people will judge me. Because obviously there are people making money from it. And, like, if I get there, like, it'd be really cool. And it's, you know, and I have, like, an empathy and a soothing voice to the degree where, like, I think I could be good at it. But also, one of my fears is it's very, you have to take it seriously, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you have to take what you're doing seriously, and, like, you have to be quiet. It has to be an art. And, like, I know, at least knowing me, like, I would cuss, I would laugh, I would drop something. And so, you know, that would require a lot of editing, and editing's not my strong suit. And so I would really need to, in order to avoid having to edit a bunch, I would really need to, like, okay, I need to focus and I need to do this. And that's hard for me sometimes, just to, like, not be goofy.
I feel like you could definitely put that in your brand, though.
No, yeah, like, having, like, a goofy, yeah, because some people like that. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a PJ ASMR, I think. He has kind of, like, this quality of, like, he's just having a good time. And, like, a lot of people really like him just because he's sweet face. He also has a very interesting voice. That's part of it. You know, you just have to have a nice face and an interesting voice.
Well, luckily you got both of those. Wink, wink.
That's so exciting. Yeah, and I don't see much singing, but a lot of people really like singing, and so I've been thinking recently about doing covers and stuff, and that might divulge into ASMR. So
yeah, I mean, like, I hate to say, like, look at me, but, you know,
Yeah.
look what I'm doing. I'm recording this podcast on a shitty app on my phone.
Yeah, and
then,
honestly, I was listening to
yeah.
the playback quality whenever you were doing it with Brittany, and it sounded good.
Uh-huh.
Like, you, like, actually sounded fine from just a phone.
Yeah,
so.
and, like, you really gotta, because, like, everyone starts from nothing, darling.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then,
Well,
like,
there's that perfectionist thing.
Yeah.
I think, you know, there's so
For
many
you,
people.
yeah.
There's so many people that I've met where, you know, and this is just for me especially, but for anyone, it's like, well, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, but I don't have this and this and this and this, so I shouldn't. But, like, no, do it. There was a panel at RTX, or the Rooster Teeth convention with Achievement Hunter, where they showed their embarrassing first videos. Like, a lot of the people on the team were like, these are some of my first, like, sketch videos, and they were all so bad and so fun, but, like, look at them now. They're on an incredibly well-known and well-made thing, like, making really incredible content, and then they were willing to go up and be like, so this is a video that I made where I wrestled a goat, you know? It's like, so obviously,
was that an actual thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
You gotta start somewhere, you know? So, yeah, I agree. I think, you know, there's that, especially for me, that need of, like, well, if I make an ASMR channel, I want it to immediately be as good as possible. And part of that is just, you know, the competition, obviously. Like, I genuinely think, now that I've talked about it and, like, I'm, like, analyzing it and seeing, because this is one of those things where I was thinking about it and I was like, I'm passionate about this, but now that I'm talking about it, I really am. You know, like, I actually really do care about this, and it's a very important part of my life. So I think
I do think
that would be fun.
It's kind of endearing to see, you know, because I've talked about how I'd like seeing my friends' passions about things, and it's very endearing to see them work up the courage to do something or talk about something.
Yeah.
And they're being very, like, open with it, and, like, I feel like people can see that a lot in different people's works. And I think that's very endearing, and that's why people will come back for more.
No, absolutely. And that's what I was saying is, like, with ASM artists, like, I haven't seen any major popular ASM artist who doesn't also partake in ASMR. You know? Like, it's just one of those things where you kind of have to know it and experience it. Because if you don't experience it, you don't know it. Yeah, it's like a chef. Like, there are chefs that, like, don't have, like, taste buds or don't like what they eat necessarily. But most chefs have a deep appreciation for food. You know, and it's like with ASMR, like, most ASMR artists have a deep appreciation for ASMR, and that's why they're able to make good ASMR, is they themselves experience it and then know what they need to do in order to activate it in other people. So yeah, I don't know. I think it would be fun to do it. And I remember it's so funny. Before we started recording, I told Olivia, because Olivia didn't want to know what we were going to talk about before we started recording, just so she'd be surprised. But I was like, I want to talk about this one thing that's kind of obscure, but I don't know if I have enough to say about it. And like, here we are. It's been like an hour. And I've not run out of things to say. So I didn't realize exactly how much that I knew or cared about it, which is very cool.
Okay, so that does bring me to the thesis of this episode and every episode. Should I get into it? And should the audience get into it?
So, here's my take. I think everyone should try it. And I think... The problem is people will like be like, oh, let me try ASMR, and not necessarily have knowledge of it, and then watch one video and be like, I didn't like that, and then not listen to it again. But like I was saying, like, there are some people that are triggered by only very specific things, you know, like pages being turned and stuff like that. And so the thing about ASMR is it, you know, it's kind of like a journey, and like if you want to try to experience it, you can't just go listen to one video and then be like, don't really like it. You know, you kind of have to decide, like, okay, I want to try ASMR, let me think of, you know, it's kind of like a reflective thing. Like I was saying, like, have I experienced ASMR in the past from other things just in daily life? Is it from music? Is it from personal attention? Is it this kind of thing? And then watch videos, and like if something doesn't appeal to you, find something else. If you don't like the talking, then go watch a non-talking video. I don't want to say like get into it, because obviously there is kind of, you know, in comparison to like other people talking about fandoms on this show, like something like Undertale or Divinity, it's like get into it because, you know, it's a game and like you can play it and like anyone could play the game. But with ASMR, it's like not everyone can experience it. And so I can't put a general, like, everyone should try this, because some people can't even do it, you know, like, or don't have that experience. And so I think it's something, especially if you have, like, anxiety or have a hard time falling asleep or, you know, have a hard time relaxing or have separation anxiety or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's something to try, for sure. And absolutely, it's not something that everyone's going to like, but yeah, there is kind of, you know, the cringles, you know, they're like, some people are like turned away from it, and that's fine. But still, you know, if ASMR isn't your thing and you're still struggling with anxiety or something like that, find something, you know, like therapy. Therapy's nice. You should probably go to therapy. But, you know, for me, like I have very minimal time or expenses to put forward to therapy, and I probably should go, and I would.
Oh, shouldn't we all?
Yeah, I would like to, but it, you know, in a way, like, this is kind of a stepping stone where it's like, I can't really commit myself to therapy at the moment, but I do have ASMR, and that helps me fall asleep and helps me stay calm. You know, it's, I don't want to say coping method, because it's not that necessarily, but it's just, you know, it's something that's nice and helps and is, like, convenient. And so I think it's worth trying. And then in terms of you...
Me?
Absolutely. Because, I mean, you know, I know you more intimately than just, like, any viewer. And I know that, like...
My 3 viewers,
yeah.
Yes.
And therefore, like, I know that you know, have anxiety and stuff like that. And so I think it's worth trying, for sure.
And the thing is about ASMR, technically, I'm already in it, you know. I listen to music when I sleep. There is, like... There's not, like, the, you know, the tapping or someone talking.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, like, you... And anyone could, like, experience ASMR really at any time. And, like, I feel like a lot of people are already in it, but they don't know it.
The thing about the ASMR in terms of, like, fandom and being a part of it is it's more, like, being aware of it and then actively seeking it out. I think that's the difference, is it's like, yeah, most people already do kind of know what ASMR is, experience it, have it. It's just that there's a separate section of people that are the ASMR community that are like people who are specifically, I watch these videos and they help me fall asleep and I really like them. They help with my depression. They help me feel like secure that there's another person. So I think it's something that is worth trying for everyone, especially if you have like anxiety or something like that. Just you know, just put it on while you're studying, you know, like just listen to some tapping. It's nice, like, it's, you know, and even if you're not like, I love ASMR, I listen to it all the time, like, to have like something other than music to listen to while you're studying is like convenient to have in your toolbox, you know. So I definitely think it's worth a try for everyone, and you just kind of have to, I mean, like, the people that I mentioned on this podcast, such as like GB ASMR, ASMR Zeitgeist, if you look up ASMR, the top videos, you know, like, are gonna be, like, some of the best videos to start with, because those are the ones that have higher production quality. But I think GB is a very good starting point.
Yeah, so that does bring me to my next question.
Yeah.
Any shout outs to any creators or...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone that I've mentioned, GB ASMR, Frivolous Fox, ASMR Magic's pretty good, ASMR Glow. I used to watch Heather Feather, if you want to go back in time and watch some of her stuff. A lot of her old stuff's very good. ASMR Red was someone that I watched a lot. She has an accent. She's very pretty. She has, like, a very unique beauty that I really like. PJ ASMR, ASMR Zeitgeist, yeah. But, you know, like, I would recommend those people, but ultimately, in terms of recommendations, it's very niche. You know, and I can recommend GB, and you may like one of her videos, but not like the other. You know, so you kind of just have to go explore. You just have to look up ASMR. Usually, like, tapping and, like, head massage. I'd say, like, ear massage videos are, like, the standard. Those are usually where you want to start. And then from there, it's like, do I like this? Do I not like this? Let me watch this video. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, like I said, there's a level of self-reflection where it's like, do I like being around people? Do I rather just want to have, like, white noise? Do I want to maybe have white noise with a little bit of sound? Like, do I like going to doctor's appointments? Do I like spa? Like, there's a lot of spa ones that are really nice, because it's like, I can't afford to go to the spa, but I can simulate one. And so it's like, you just have to play. You know, you just have to play. And then you can also, you know, I encourage people to be willing to ask people for those kinds of things in real life. Like, I'm bad about this and I should be better about this. But, you know, like I said, like, I had a lot of people offer to play with my hair in the past, and now I don't have as many people. And I think if ASMR doesn't work for you on YouTube, but it seems like something that you would enjoy, like, in life, like, don't be afraid to ask your friends, like, hey, I'm stressed. Can you play with my hair? You know, like, stuff like that. And so potentially ASMR might be something that you want to explore, like, just in life, where it's like, if you have a significant other or something, like, hey, can you scratch my back? You know, like that in a way is ASMR to me. Like, people asking to, like, scratch your back, like, that can be ASMR. So, you know, it's such a broad category. Like, people are trying it without even knowing they're trying it. So just being consciously aware of it and knowing that that's something that you can utilize, I think, is the more important thing. Like, not necessarily, like, go watch ASMR videos, but, like, ASMR is something that you should think about and, like, know that exists and consider an option in times of stress or anxiety or stuff like that.
Oh, is there anything that you want to plug for yourself? Like,
yes, I do. You're more than welcome to follow me on Twitter. My Twitter's a hellscape of art that I like, and me being chaotic, talking about my boyfriend, and that would be at Moira, MOIRA _the_bird, or you can just look up Moira Fuller. There aren't many Moira Fullers in the world, so you'll probably find me through that. Especially if you know Olivia, chances are you can just find me through her. But also, I am part of a streaming company called Lawful Stupid RPG, and that's just a D&D podcast that we have. I actually have my first stream with them in, like, 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, and we stream on Twitch at Lawful Stupid RPG, LSRPG. And my boyfriend does as well. And there's a Discord community. If you like D&D, there's a Discord community that you can join. It's a way to play D&D and other role-playing systems other than D&D, and just have this community that you can go to, which is very fun. But other than I'm in the Comedy Association. I should probably plug the organization that I run. For those of you that are aware of that go to Texas State, know of Texas State, or don't, we do have this thing called the Comedy Association at Texas State, which is an organization that I'm the president of, and we do sketch, stand-up, and improv comedy. And we have a YouTube channel, and all of our socials are at TXST Comedy, and we just produce a bunch of fun stuff, and we're always looking for new members, but we also just make content for people. We have showcases every month. You'll see us on the quad. Or if you're not from Texas State or aren't, like, a Texas State member but still live in, like, the Texas area, you're still welcome to attend showcases and attend stuff like that. So, for sure. And I think that's most of what I do.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast and telling me.
I had so much fun. And if you ever have, like, repeat guests, I'd be willing.
Oh, no, yeah, like... definitely, like, you know, all my friends are huge fucking nerds, so...
Yeah, I have plenty of things that I'd be more than happy to talk about,
So that concludes this episode. I hope you guys, all three of you, enjoyed it, and I'm gonna close it with a little bit of ASMR, so here... That's my nails.
Just so you know, like, just to give you perspective, like, you doing this, like, you're kind of like, it seems like a joke, but, like, this is a really nice sound. I really like it.
And that ends it.